Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, in the previous video, that's the one I did just before this video, I was talking about Halloween and Halloween, the TV show which we're going to be getting, apparently. And I talked so much about that, I got very carried away and I forgot to mention and bring to light something which was in the background behind me, which is meant to talk about. So, here I am again. I've slightly rejigged the background, but now I have the very thing I was going to show you. For 'tis this. What's that, Kilt-Man? What's that? That is the original, first ever UK Betamax release of Halloween, 1978. Now, to my knowledge, it came out in America on home video in 1979, the year after the film came out. And then I think we got it in the UK in 1980. And I acquired this in about 82, thereabouts. But you know, I've had thousands upon thousands of Betamax and VHS cassettes. I've been bought out, not one, but two, and most of a third video library during the big 80s decline, when Blockbuster took over and all the little independent stores all couldn't make ends meet. In stepped I, and I bought everything on my lowly YTS wage. And a couple of loans from my dad. But anyway, I got this around about 1981, I would say. And but it's interesting this, because there's a lot of collectors interested in getting their hands on this copy. Now, there's some controversy around this and a bit of stuff which ain't true and stuff which could be true, but I don't know because I'm no expert. All I know is that that is the UK version. It has a little label saying PAL on it there. PAL for our playback system in the UK. And a little small box, a lot of video stores would take these little cardboard boxes apart and make inlay cards in the great big, rental, big black boxes. And so they look really stupid, a great big box and a little tiny, illustration. But, and I know some of you probably know this story, this apparently sold for $13,000 back in 2013 on eBay. Or did it? Because apparently it was a hoax, folks, it was a hoax. There was a guy who was trying to collect all the films that he loved when he was a kid growing up, an American, and he was scouring the world and every single car boot sale or yard sale or thrift store or whatever you call them, and going to conventions trying to find a copy of this, right? But on VHS he wanted it. Beta was better. We'll talk about that in a minute though. But so he scoured everywhere, couldn't find one, and then saw one or heard that one had been sold on eBay for like $500, and he thought, well, to me it's worth it. So he went back on eBay, and lo and behold, one of these was for sale. And it turned out it was the same dealer, and it was the same image, the same stuff. And as he bid on it at $500, the bid suddenly shot up and to like $900, and he was like, what the hell? And anyway, he missed out on it because he thought, got pipped at the post. And then about 2 weeks afterwards, it popped up again from the same dealer. And he thought, well, look, I'm not gonna miss this opportunity. I'm gonna get it this time, no matter what the cost. It's important, this. So it got to $13,000, and he was about to, win the bid, make the purchase. And then he thought, hang on a minute, all these people have been bidding. No one's bidding until I suddenly make a bid on it. So what's going on here? And then the penny finally dropped, and he did a bit of research on it and discovered, look, these other potential bidders don't really exist. And it's just this seller trying to drive up the price. It's all an in-house hoax. So he got in touch with eBay and said, look, I want to withdraw my bid. And they did. And what happened after that is like he wasn't able to see the auction anymore. And I've seen the big write-up that he gave, because this is the guy that was apparently the one who spent $13,000 on this. Well, the big VHS version of it. And only he didn't actually pay that money, but the word got out and a bit of notoriety. So everyone who had one of these was like, oh, right, I'm up to the attic, I'm down to the basement, I'm out to the garage, all the boxes, I've got a copy of that, thinking that this is worth that kind of money. Folks, things are only worth the kind of money that someone is willing to pay for them. The market for used old video cassettes, there's a cult sort of community that likes these things, loves these things, collects these things, but they don't pay that kind of money at all because none of it's worth it. It's just not worth it. They're not antiques. They're not like objet d'art, paintings or old manuscripts or old first edition books or coins or medals, which only increase in value as the years go by. These don't. But if someone's willing to pay $13,000, $15,000, $1 million for this, hey, give me a shout. Look me up. But if you're willing to pay the money, then you'll pay the money, and someone is going to be very happy afterwards, you know. But hey, mine ain't for sale because I understand the historical relevance of this all too well. So now we've got that hoax and eBay faux pas out the way, let's talk about this release. The film came out in 1978. The first video cassette of it came out in America in 1979. 1980 was the UK for it, to my knowledge. And the company was Media, right? Which are based in Culver City. A fella called Charles Band created that company. And Charles Band comes from a long family of creatives. His granddad, his dad, everyone was involved in the movie industry in some capacity. And Charles Band was a film producer and film director. Throughout the 70s, he gave us many delicious, ultra low budget, trashy sci-fi and horror movies. In the 80s, he then formed Empire Pictures and did things like Reanimator and From Beyond for Brian Usner and Stuart Gordon. And then he formed Full Moon Pictures, I think it was, which a whole slew more, way, the next couple of decades, still plentiful movies, trances and all that sort of stuff. Metal Storm, The Legend of Jarad Sin, or whatever how it's called, and many, many other cult favourites. His own brother, so Charles Band was this director, producer, filmmaker, and entrepreneur since he created this company as well. His brother Richard Band is a composer, and he composed for many of the Brian Usner and Stuart Gordon movies and a plethora of fantastic horror and sci-fi scores. I've got many of them. Wonderful, wonderful composer. So what a family. Now, Media, as I say, that company changed names a couple of times and was kind of bought in and bought out by other companies. But Charles Band, Empire Pictures, Full Moon Pictures, he moved on. But Media, right, was the first. Now, some people are going to go, but Kilt-Man, I've heard that the first actual release, it was called Media, not Media, Media there, right? Now, when this cassette starts playing, and I can't play it now to prove it because I haven't got a machine that can play it anymore. Hey, so what's the fucking point of having this? Posterity, nostalgia, and the fact it's worth 13,000. No, it's not. It fucking isn't. But when the cassette starts, the brand, the label, the releasing company, their logo comes up in like bright pink or purple, and it says Media. Now, when I was a kid, it used to make me laugh because I thought, haha, they can't even spell their own company's name. It's Media. They've missed the I out. Well, Media was the name of Charles Band's first wife. He's had several, and her name was Media. So it was in honour of her. So Media did exist. Now, I don't know how genuine these images are that I've seen, but I've seen this in the VHS box with, instead of Media, it's got Media written there. I don't know how genuine that is. I know that this cassette has Media at the start before the film comes on, Media, in a great big sort of neon sort of emblazoned sign. But it says quite clearly Media on the box and on the labels, which I'm going to show you. But the American one, well, I'll show you the labels now. The American ones had sort of, can you see this colour here? It's very faded, and I do apologise. The sun is absolutely blazing down, and I've shut all the blackout curtains, and it's still pouring through, so it's all gone hazy fantasy in here. But take it from me, this is a very, very old, well-worn cardboard box, and it has faded somewhat. But the patterning is a kind of like, you've got like a yellow, then a yellow, a sort of very pale blue, an orange, and a white band as in Charles Band, sort of going around it. And then in white on a blue background, you have media. Now on the cassette, on the label, on the spine, and on the top of the cassette, I'll show you this properly. On the American ones, it was kind of like a white sort of colour, a white colour. White would be the colour, but it had this sort of banded, sort of very pale rainbow taking place, and the word media written on it in the top corner of the spine there, and on the label, sort of up there. Now they're the American ones. The UK copies weren't like that, to my knowledge, and I've got several, because they also released Assault on Precinct 13 and Laser Blast, and what else? There's a few other films here, it actually mentions them. Slithis, another ultra low budget and actually rather naff movie. It says The Night of the Living Dead here, but that's not the version I had. It wasn't from Media, it was from Intervision, so not sure how that transpired. Tunnel Vision, Laser Blast, as I say, I had that. Flesh Gordon, the infamous Flesh Gordon. Just want to see how you look in black nylons, says the great big stop motion Penosaurus. Alice in Wonderland, not quite the same as Flesh Gordon. Assault on Precinct 13 and Jungle Book. Jungle Book. And there's a few rock concerts as well, and animated movies. Superman, Shame with the Jungle, Gulliver's Travels, classic cartoons of the 1930s. But where was I going with that? I had Assault on Precinct 13 as well, and Flesh Gordon, and what was the other one? Slithis. And they all had these silver embossed labels on the spine and on the top with that media logo there. That's exactly how they looked on all of them. Now, I know I've still got Assault on Precinct 13 somewhere, but for the sake of this video, I can't find the bugger. This is a shame, because that one, they have taken the cards out and they've made a great big box out of it, so it's not in the little cardboard box. But anyway, so in the UK, for a fact, they were silver, but I know that in America, certainly some, if not maybe only the early ones, had that sort of, well, this sort of colour scheme going on and the word media, but it wasn't media leaping out at you like that. So there is a serial number which I've checked, and certainly all the Betamax copies of this were M131. It's up there. Probably can't see that because the ring light's splurging it out. M131. It's on that side, and I think it's on, probably on the cassette as well. It is, it's on the cassette as well. M131. Not on the main label, I don't think. But Media Home Enterprises Entertainment Incorporated presents Halloween Colour / literally / 91 minutes. It's a Fuji cassette. Fuji started releasing VHS and Betamax cassettes in about 1976, and it was a lot earlier than people think, you know, when home video began and people started being able to make recordings and stuff. But that label did come askew one time, so I have tampered with it. I have glued it back down again because it just peeled back. Speaking of tampering, it does say that the rental company there has put a little label on. Warning, tampering will result in the loss of your life membership. So you weren't meant to pull the little flap back and fiddle about with it. You know when the fucking thing got stuck in your machine? Yeah. Beta was better. Beta was the way to go. Smaller cassettes, but they lasted longer. They were far better, far more durable tapes as well. You had better picture quality, you had better sound quality. They were far more reliable than steggy, shite old VHS. But hey, JVC swamped the market across the world with VHS and just won by, well, they bullied Betamax out of everywhere. But I was the man whose mum bought him Betamax for Christmas. And you guys know the story. What 2 films did she buy me as well? When this disgruntled and very, very unruly disappointed little Christmas child threw a big tantrum. Oh, it's bloody Betamax, threw the whole thing down. Oh, ungrateful little shit I was. I soon learned. They bought me The Exterminator and Scanners. Well, my mum bought me The Exterminator and Scanners, and I was just a little kid. But I was a little kid who'd gone to cinema for the last 3 or 4 years watching X-rated movies, straight after school with no issues whatsoever. So buying me these movies didn't bother her at all. But yeah, so my first movies were The Exterminator and Scanners, and I've still got them. I've shown you them. I've shown you those original boxes and the original cassettes, and I love them. But this did arrive at my old house shortly afterwards, and I've had it ever since. And you can see there's no disc rot taking place there. Now, obviously, I've not rewound it, so if the full tape was back at the start, you might see some mould on it. But judging by that, I don't think there is any. I think it's still in pretty good nick, and it was played a fair bit. But shall we have a little look at the actual tape itself? For whatever reason, I don't know. Yeah, that's in good nick, that is. Oh, yeah. So, I just rearrange the stationery. I'll just imbibe of the whiskerberry. So I thought I'd show you that because, you may have copies of this lurking about your abode. Keep them. You can try and sell them for vastly scalping, extortionate prices, and if some mug is willing to pay that money, then hey ho, you haven't strung them along, they're willing to part with that amount of cash, good luck to you. Personally, I think it's a terrible, terrible act, but but if needs must, But that story became quite notorious. Some guy paid $13,000 for a copy of the original Halloween on the Media label. See, this is the thing again. I've seen images of this box, but for VHS, and it does look like it says Media here, not Media. But I know that this has the logo at the start, which is Media, and I've told you why that is. It's in homage and respect of his then wife. But yeah, you're only going to pay what you can afford to pay. Now this guy, literally, it became a quest for him. I've seen the big message that he sent to another forum many, many moons ago. Hey, full moon. And he's quite open and said, like, I know I'm an idiot. I don't know why I did it, but it became such an obsession that I thought I'd let 2 slip away from my fingers. So I'm going to have this one regardless, no matter what the cost. I'll foot the bill. I don't care. I'll live with it afterwards, but I'll be happy. But a little, I don't know, a silent trigger went off the back of his head. And he thought, hang on, let's do some homework on these other buyers who are driving up the bidding war. They had no track record whatsoever, and that was the same thing throughout all the apparent sales of this. So it was a massive con job, Anyway, I'll read you the back of it. I think there's a couple of howlers on the back of this. They can't spell Myers correctly. So here's your blurb you write up. You're in the video library. That's what we used to call them in this country, the video library. But a video store in America, and you were there and you went, wow, great big, fantastic artwork. I'm thinking Deathstalker here. Stuff that is never going to be in the fucking movie when you actually sit down and watch it. But you're drawn to it. Ooh, swords, muscles, big boobs. Ooh, I'm going to have that. Or just gore aplenty. Throats ripped downwards and heads coming off. Oh, got to have that. And in the end, it's Ilsa, she-bitch of the SS. Shite. Right. Halloween. the most successful independent motion picture of all time. It certainly was at this time. In 78, 79, 80, 81, it was still the most successful independent movie. A horror classic starring Donald Pleasence, Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Soles, and Nancy Loomis. Michael Myers, it says. It spells Myers as Meyers. Michael Myers escapes from the Illinois State Mental Hospital after 15 years treatment for the brutal murder of his sister, and is returning to Haddonfield to relive his crime. Michael sets about systematically killing his prey, while Dr. Loomis searches for a clue that will lead him, the light's shining on this, that will lead him to Michael. What follows is a reign of terror. He came home for Halloween and may return. Foreshadowing sequels there? He came home for Halloween and may return. Actually, folks, he's still fucking there. He's never bloody left. The night he came home. Colour, 90 minutes. B for beta format. It's a great bit of kit. And of course, the version on this, the transfer, is atrocious. It's that shoddy old pan and scan, grainy as fuck, warped to hell, and it's got that blue tint to it. That blue tint, which purists say, oh, it should have that. It should have the blue tint. God, going back to my days Navy forums, writing the technical reviews for like these releases, and when it hit Blu-ray, well, DVD, then Blu-ray, and then it's a director approved transfer now, and everyone says, oh, it doesn't look right. Oh, no, it should be blue. No, it shouldn't have been blue. It should have been the gorgeous colours that you see it now. That's how it was originally bloody broadcast, screened theatrically. But other versions got worn, and this bloody tint suddenly seemed to appear on it, and it became known for that. All the TV broadcasts at the time, again, pan and scan, were very, very blue, you know. Haddonfield is blue, and there's nothing we can do. Cheers, y'all. So, I just always had to mention this. I've got the original Halloween 3. My Halloween 2 copy, which was Thorn EMI, has gone. I don't know where that's gone, but it's gone. Damn it. I had all these thousands and thousands of Betamax and VHS tapes. And when me and Mrs. Kilt-Man first got a house together, a long time ago now, this would be back in, 89 it was. And obviously, we couldn't shift all that stuff. So I took loads, don't get me wrong. DVD hadn't come out at that point, so yeah, I'm another 10 years away now. So I took a gazillion, you know, but I left a gazillion back at my mum and dad's house. And then when you went back to go and maybe get some more of these and root through them, some of them are going missing because they're in millions of different boxes and crates. And my dad was making room for all his militaria stuff and all his antiques and things. So he was, shoving my stuff in the bin. So my stuff was getting tipped. So a lot of really rare stuff, which probably still has not come out on any other format since those days. And there is a fair few titles like that. He got rid of them. So, and then when we finally moved out of that house and we moved again, and with the forces I moved around a couple of times, but our actual residential house, the family home for me and Mrs. Kilt-Man, had been Kirkdale, Liverpool, and then we moved back to my side of the water, side of the Mersey, and with the Kilt Mansion, which yawns above me, behind me, and beyond me, in every direction. And well, obviously, I wanted to bring all these things, so there were still hundreds and hundreds of cassettes. I've still got hundreds and hundreds of them, but a lot of them are just blank tapes with films I've recorded from various other means, illicit copying primarily, and from cable and all that sort of stuff. So there's still plentiful of those, which are they've got to go somewhere because they're fucking useless. They don't mean a damn thing to me. But anyway, apart from I've got the old Channel 4 recording of Wolfen. Yes, Wolfen, Michael Wadley, Albert Finney, Diane Venora, Edward James Olmos. Oh yeah, Whitley Strieber's novel brought to the big screen, and I love it. You guys know how much I love that movie. Well, I have multiple real official versions of it, but they're all cut. But the Channel 4 version has the full Tom Waits song when they go to the bar after almost being killed in the Wolfen's Den, which is an old dilapidated church in the heart of South Bronx. And but they survived by the skin of their teeth, you know. And they're in this bar, relaxing and trying to have a drink and just get over the shock of what just happened. They're trying to make sense of what just happened. And it's a great scene, but in every home video version of it, there's a real clumsy edit. You think, well, something just got said there. It's because they couldn't get the rights to Tom Waits' song. And Tom Waits is actually at the piano in the bar, in the scene, playing the piano, looking a lot like Ron Perlman, sort of like crooning away, looking over his shoulder. But they couldn't get the rights to it. So that tape, which is taped off the Channel 4 broadcast, I have to keep it, even though I can't friggin' watch it. But I know it's there. That's the important thing. So over the years, that they've dwindled and dwindled, and what I can't believe is so many of the great big box like Predator and Commando from CBS Fox, Movies in a Box from CBS Fox, all them have gone. You know, and I just can't believe Running Man. These things have gone. All the original Rambo movies have gone. What? Why did I get rid of those? Why? Did I get rid of them? Did my dad get rid of them? Were they lost in transit? What happened to them? I don't know, but they're gone. I still have Raw Deal from CBS Fox in the great big box, you know. And there is a load of other good ones. I've shown you a lot of these before. And Assault on Precinct 13 is there somewhere, but I cannot find it. Halloween 3 is there in the Thorn Near My box. But the Halloween 3 edition is in the UK, Halloween 3, which we're hearing right now. Wow, bit of synchronicity there. Halloween 3 was cut cinematically, snakes and spiders, and the pizzazz in the girl's gob, and their faces burnt off, their mouth peels back, and spiders come out. That was all cut. The head being ripped off, that was all cut out. Well, for home video, they cut the bastard even further, and to add insult to injury, it even told you so on the label, actually on the cassette itself, the actual label there. It said, this film is certified 15 for theatrical release. Further cuts have been made. Fucking hell. Of course, we've all got it uncut now. And that was quite a revelation when that finally got the uncut version of that. And again, who showed that? Yeah, it was British TV showed the first uncut version of Halloween 3 that I saw. But they cut out the two occasions when someone says, fuck. They cut the swear word out, but kept the head getting ripped off. The arbitrary nature of censorship makes no sense, folks. Makes no sense. So, have a little look around your the remains of your old video libraries and see what you've got. And comment below and let me know what you've got, because I'm genuinely intrigued. And don't lie and say, oh, I've got the original Meader version. It says Meader everywhere of Halloween. And mine was the first one produced. Whereas I won't fucking believe you. But let us know what you've got, because I had the original American Werewolf in London as well, and The Howling, oh god, and the first Evil Dead from Palace Pictures, and then Evil Dead 2, both of which were heavily cut at the time, I know, which is a real shame, but my god, the cover art for Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 were just phenomenal, and I haven't got them. My first versions of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 and Leatherface Texas Chainsaw 3 and Reanimator I bought from Spain on a holiday to Spain because I knew they were uncut over there. They were cut to ribbons. Well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't even in this country for a long, long time. Well, it was for me because I got the Spanish version, but they were fully uncut, and I got the full uncut Day of the Dead as well and Dawn of the Dead. But I got them courtesy of local and yet globally regarded horror writer Ramsey Campbell. Yes. And what did he get off me? In return, he got pirated copies of Rocky IV and Commando, fully uncut. Well, he seemed happy at the time. We were both collecting video nasties. That's how we got to know each other. I since won a literary award. Nothing in comparison to what he's won, of course. But he's the guy that presented me with the award, the Shell Research Prize for Literature. And yet he did not know that it was me. He had to you had to write under a pseudonym. So many people know what that pseudonym is because it's part of my military background, and I'm not going to divulge it here right now. But I won a great big shield, a big silver plate. Oh God, a load of money and a publishing deal. Yay! Little did I know the publishing deal was like the eBay selling of Halloween. Not quite what they promised it was going to be. So I walked out on the 3-book deal. Having published 2, I walked out on the 3rd. But me and Ramsey met via the video library called Exclusively Beta on Poulton Road. Steve, if you're out there, my man. You ran Exclusively Beta. And and he kept saying like, look, there's a guy who wants, you've got a load of video nasties, haven't you? I said, yeah. Well, there's a guy who wants this title. If you've got this, I said, yeah. So we were bringing him, he was bringing stuff in to the shop, and then Steve was passing it to me, and I was bringing stuff in for him, and he was passing it to Ramsey. So in the end, this is in the days of the phone directory. Do you guys even know what that is? A great big phone book with everyone's phone number in it in your entire area. So you just got their name, and you there it goes, and you picked up your phone, and you did that. That was the good old days. And I just called him and said, oh, listen, Ramsey, big fan. How'd you get my number? In that voice of his. And I said, like, look, you, unbeknownst, to you, you've been trading with me, Video Nasties. I said, do you want to cut the middleman out? And like, I'll just come to yours with a bunch of films that you want, and I'll lend them to you, and then you can lend some to me. And he went, yeah, okay. So he picked me up. He came around, picked me up, drove me to his house, which is just over there. It's across our moat and across the fields on the other side of Kilt Mansion. Go down zigzag, and then you go onto a road called Penkett Road. Why am I giving you all these details? He lives down there, and I know I've said all this before, but and it was great, and the two of us got on like a house on fire. And I see him occasionally now. He's a big real ale drinker, which of course, I'm a big real whiskey drinker. Cheers, Ramsey. And I stopped writing, but he carried on, and I will have to resume it if I want to try and make any kind of new career, new chapter in the Kilt-Man life after taking redundancy. I need to start writing again. A new chapter. Oh, where did you come up with all these things? And I still see him around, and we just kind of let him. We don't even like talk anymore, which is a Cliff Richard song, isn't it? But he was great, and what he did tell me, and I have said this before, and it's true. This is true. He got to know Stephen King very well. Well, they've both won every award going, and Stephen King always called Ramsey Campbell the horror writer's horror writer, because his prose is so precise, and it's not the written diarrhea that bloody Stephen King churns out endlessly. But Stephen King would spend a couple of summer vacations here, and he'd stay at Ramsey Campbell's house. And like, when he told me that, I was like, are you kidding? He said, well, yeah, I've been out there to King's house as well, Steve's house. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I've got to keep in with you. But yeah, I don't know if they still do that sort of thing. Probably not. And let's face it, Stephen King was probably coked off his tits back in those days anyway. But Ramsey probably was as well, thinking about it. But yeah, so Stephen King used to be just over there, and probably going to local pubs as well, and going down the Prom, going down New Brighton, walking up and down the banks of the Mersey, going to Liverpool, going to Matthew Street where the Beatles came from and all that, and probably no one recognised him, with them stupid great big glasses of his, like, in those days, the big bad bowl head that he had, and that big gurning fucking mouthful of teeth, probably sporting a beard in those days as well. But yeah, so, and I then won a literary award, and sort of like the year I got my first book published, Ramsey won the Grand Master of Horror of the World title. And I just went, well, fucking forget it then. I was busy cobbling together volume 2 of Twisted Tales at the time. But well, that's the fucking point. Mr. Kilt-Man's going, what do you mean? You've got every chance. You could be the next Grandmaster. I said, oh yeah, so the 2 Grandmasters of Horror live, within half a mile of each other. You're joking, aren't you? Like that's ever going to happen? And to date, it hasn't happened. Anyway, it is what it is. So there you go. See what you've got. See if you've got this. See if you've got one that's got meter on it. I don't know if that's genuinely true. It's definitely the neon emblazoned logo at the start of this cassette, because I always noticed it because it didn't have the I. And I was like, they can't even spell their own name. But now we know why. So now I know the UK ones came out after the American ones, but not by much. I'd say the American ones came out 79, a year after the film was released, and the UK ones came out 1980, probably not even a year later, but they definitely came out after the American ones. And a little sticker saying "pal" on there. But it's great. It's nice. It's tangible. I'm not streaming it. It's not a download. I've got every other version going. Every other fucking version of this movie on every format. But there's something about that. The movie in a box, and it's a piece of genre history that I'm holding right here, right now. I mean, short of having the actual, 35mm film canisters, and I haven't got those, so there's a bit of a lie there. I've got it every single format known to man. I haven't, obviously, but most of them. Anyway, folks, I've been almost Shelby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this let's search our attics and find some treasure, some movie-related treasure, and then realise, it's so cool, I don't want to sell it anyway, because that's the vicious irony. I can make money on this. Everyone goes to the Antiques Roadshow, and they go, where did you get this from? Well, it was passed from my great-great-great-great-granddad got it off Cro-Magnon man, and it's been in our family ever since. And why do you want to sell it? I don't want to sell it. I just want to find out how much it's worth. Well, it's worth 30,000. These kind of figures I can't even say. I can't even articulate them. £35,000. Do you still want to hang on to it? No, take it. Would you buy it? Would you buy it from me now, please? Cash, if you don't mind. But the thing is, I don't like parting with stuff. My dad was an expert in this, a pure wheeler dealer for most of his life. He was like this. Collect things, anything, before he latched onto Notoriety, which consumed most of his life. And he became a huge, well-known figure on the circuit. He was also a military historian. He had jobs as well, proper jobs, but his main obsession was war. What is it good for? Well, for me dad, it was making a lot of money out of it, and getting a lot of notoriety. And he put them down the country, up all around Europe and even North Africa. He would be lecturing and going to big, I was going to say arms fairs then. That makes me sound like a fucking terrorist. But but military affairs. And he was known. My dad was instantly recognisable, and became such a huge celebrity. And everyone came to him, for advice. I've got this, and where can I find that? Is this metal real? Blah 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 blah. And I grew up with that, and I just sit there and soak it all in and listen listen, but I didn't exactly learn a great deal, about wheeler dealing, because I've always been shit at that. Me and my old Bezzy mate, Lee Van Keith. I'll say it for newcomers. His name's Keith, but he looks like the actor Lee Van Cleef, and because he looks so much like him, we call him Lee Van Keith. You see, and me and him went into business together, and we manufactured and made action figure stands, primarily for Star Wars figures, for the vintage ones and for the newer ones, and we did them in just plastic, and we had an injection molding press, and we did them in different styles and different colours, marble, black, clear. I have shown some of these things, and we have a company called Scene in 3D, scene as in movie scene, and in 3D because you put your figure on it and it's in 3D, so Scene in 3D. And well, there's two reasons why our business failed. We got a big business grant as well. Oh yeah, everyone loved our idea. Now, we were, like me dad, we were up and down the length and breadth of this country. We didn't get as far as Europe, unlike me dad. But all the conventions, all the fairs, and the fledgling Comic Cons which were coming into effect, because we didn't have them for a long time. And we'd be there, and we'd have our stall, and we'd be selling loads and loads of these things, and people were queuing up. And we had like a glass grandstand on our table with all different kinds of figures, and we did stands for 12-inch figures as well, and all types of figures. And we had little sort of 20th Century Fox footlights which would illuminate all these figures. And they look like statues, so people would come up and go like, can I buy that Boba Fett? And we go like, well, you've got Boba Fett anyway. And they go like, well, yeah I have, yeah. Well, just buy the stand for him. No, I want that statue there. And we're like, no, that is just the figure, but it's on one of our glorious, fantastic stands. Oh, it looks great, doesn't it? Just buy the stand. But they still go like, no, I'll give you, how much for that? So we made money on each day, but we're a pair of dickheads, because we're in the environment where we shouldn't have money on us, because every other stall had things we wanted, so we spent our profits. And I remember when we started out and we had the first couple of good weekends, we had a few thousand, we made, and like we sat there together, we were having a drink, and Keith said, what should we do? We're away a lot, and maybe we should treat the women. He meant our women, his wife, my wife. Come on now. Well, that's what he meant. It's not quite what I meant, but anyway, so we take them out for a meal once in a while. The problem with it is we never had the money for like the next couple of days, because we start buying things and spending. So our profits were great, but then we'd spend them. Useless. And then we got a cease and desist from George Lucas. I think that is the thing that really killed it off in the end, because we were using Star Wars figures as our advertising stuff. So Boba Fett, Bespin Luke, Darth Vader, little Jawa, all sorts to show the different range you could use. And we got one of that glorious letters saying, you can fucking stop doing what you're doing right now, otherwise we're going to sue your ass off. So we had to. But I think the writing was on the wall anyway, because we didn't have a head for business, neither of us. Cheers, y'all. Oh, another video library, one that was directly opposite my mum and dad's house, at the top of Liso Road. My mum and dad's house is now sold. It has no connection to me or my clan now anymore. And directly over the road, it's the top of Liso Road, it's a dual carriageway. It goes on for about, I don't know, is it 2 miles? I think it's about 2 miles long. It goes down to the bottom by Liso Lighthouse and Liso Castle, in fact. And then swings left and goes into Morton, and then you go across, the top edge of the Wirral Peninsula. And but we're at the top in the Wallasey Village region. It's a very big roundabout there. And I've got vintage pictures from the 1890 and early 1900s, which are just, it looks like a different place. It looks lovely. There's little hand carts and people on penny farthings and stuff like that. It's great, really great stuff. My dad would have remembered all that. But over the road from my house was there was a pet store. There was a carpet place for a long time, and it was a weird thing. There was a garage just further down, but directly over the road was this big carpet place at the time, and then nestled into that, and then it turns a corner like that. But nestled in before that was my nearest video library, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called now. Was it called The Entertainer? Oh God, I should know it, but my mate worked there for a long time. Robert Thornton worked there for a long time, and but the boss of the place isn't. And I have said this before, but I can't resist saying it again. His name was James Chinnery. Now, if Chinnery wasn't funny enough, what do you shorten James to? Jim. Yeah, so this guy was called Jim Chinnery. Jim Chinnery, Jim Chinnery, Jim Chinneroo. God, that fucking tickled me. And his missus Tina was absolutely incredible. She was, I mean, again, you'd see her, I'd be in our bay windows and I'd be watching Tina doing the wind. It was like double bay windows at the shop, not my mum and dad's house. And she'd be in the display at the front, putting all the cardboard standees, some of which I've still got here. I've got the Lethal Weapon one I've still got here, which I think you've seen actually. And and she'd be arranging all these displays and putting the cases out on all the new releases and all that. Like, but she'd wear the tightest, like, spray on jeans and white stilettos. Oh, I don't care what anyone says. That look nails it for me. And she was only small, but everything was in the right place and an ample amount of each. You know, oh, that's it. I'd be looking over there, and okay, there may be like the latest zombie flesh eaters, strong uncut version, and she's doing a big standee for that, and I'd be drooling at that. Whoa, blood and guts and throat ripped out and zombies. But hey, look at you, drool all the more. Oh dear. Well, went round the houses this time, didn't we? Halloween. Original. If you've got it, flaunt it. If not, scour eBay and be prepared to be scalped beyond belief. Folks, I have been, shall we Kilt-Man, please? In the meantime, I've been through this once already, haven't I? Ah, fuck it. I'm going to see you all. He's been here once. I think he'll come back. Cheers, y'all.